Hello and welcome to the 35th edition of Marex Maritime News. These are the headlines on Monday, 12th October 2020. Box ship rebound on its way now. Cochin Shipyard, first company in shipping sector to bag Greenco Award. CAPESIZE market set to boom on China iron ore demand. DAEWOO and MAN team up to develop ammonia propulsion for mega box ship. War risk rating up for Yemen ports. Turkey launches cadet training ship for Qatar. Cruise ships going nowhere, but passengers are plenty.
Lady Captain hits out at doubters.
German container shipping firm Hapag-Lloyd is benefiting from a rebound in the transport demand, but its chief executive has warned of longer-term impact on economic activity from coronavirus. We see a recovery that started probably sometime in the course of the third quarter, and we expect that to continue going into 2021. Chief Executive Rolf Jansen said in a briefing session on Thursday. But there will be a clear long-term effect on global economy from COVID-19, which will have an impact on the flow of goods, he added. The world's number 5 container line doubled its net profit in the first half of 2020 when it maintained its full-year outlook. Hapag-Lloyd's profitability was boosted by cost reductions, lower shipping fuel prices than a year ago, and recovering demands. Meanwhile, Hyundai Marine has announced that all of its 12 24,000 TEU container ships have been entirely filled with cargoes on their very first voyage from Far East to Europe.
The Container Shipping Lines Association India, more popularly known as CSLA, is an eminent association of foreign container shipping lines operating in India. CSLA has 25 member lines under its fold and has always been in the forefront as far as India's international trade is concerned. Mr. Sunil Vaswani is the Executive Director of CSLA.
There has indeed been a rebound in the container business, probably a bit faster than expected. The Container Shipping Lines Association has always stood by the government and offered assistance to the trade. In fact, even during the beginning of the pandemic, the lines went out of the way to offer extended free time to the trade as per the advisories issued by the DG's office. This, coupled with the delay in disposal of unclaimed cargo by customs and the restrictions imposed by the government of India on imports from China, led to a shortage of boxes for exports. MTs therefore had to be repositioned from overseas into India and then moved inlands. This, of course, was at a cost as far as the lines were concerned. In addition to this, the high port charges as well as the high inland freight added to the costs. As a matter of fact, Concor has yet to pass on the benefit of reduction in rail freight to the final users. Shipping lines are doing all that they can to assist, but at the end of the day, it's a question of demand and supply, and the exporters need to furnish realistic projections well in advance to enable the shipping lines to assist them with the limited space and equipment at hand.
After record profits of 2 years, many shipping lines, particularly the larger shipping lines, have declared record profits. We hope this trend continues in future so that the shipping lines are able to fund for better containers, better ship, faster steaming, and more options for every trade lane by more services being offered by more shipping lines. We hope this trend of profit continues so that Indian investors also invest in container ships, as the current investments in containers and ships of Indian investors is very weak. We hope this trend continues so that the importers and exporters will have better certainty in planning their imports and exports and strengthening the resilience of the supply chains.
Cochin Shipyard Limited, CSL, a PSC under the Ministry of Shipping, Government of India, has earned the distinction of becoming the first company in the shipping sector to be certified by the Confederation of Indian Industries for Greenco Silver rating. CSL has joined a handful of big companies like IOCL, BPCL, HPCL, ONGC, GAIL and Indian Railways, which have already been certified. The certification is considered to be very special as it was obtained during the COVID-19 pandemic situation and the process was completed in a very short time. The Green Co rating is awarded to a company that meets set norms in implementation of greener, environment-friendly facets in their production activities, conserves and is persistently endeavoring to move towards greener renewable energies like solar, wind, etc. With waves of iron ore imports arriving in record number of shipments throughout the third quarter in China and no signs of any let-ups in the explosive demand for this raw ferrous commodity, the CAPESIZE market is expected to remain firm in the last quarter of this year. Defying any anemic industrial activity seen elsewhere globally due to the current COVID pandemic, China has imported extraordinary volumes of iron ore in June, July as well as August, with 101.7 million MT, 112.6 million MT and 100.3 million MT respectively. Catering to China's iron ore demand, the CAPESIZE segment boomed in the third quarter with Platts Cape T4 index basis 0.5% sulfur marine fuel averaging $20,823 a day after registering a high of $31,901 a day in early July.
Although 2020 will certainly be a disappointing year, China is still showing a glimpse of optimism in an overall gloomy market environment. Estimates still hold for a fair economic growth to be seen this year, albeit at only 2%. The latest forecast from World Bank states that it expects economic growth to bounce back to 7.9% in 2021. A fairly positive sign, maybe on an optimistic note. This begs the question as to how quickly this excess steel produced can be absorbed by either local demand or exports. This uncertainty overshadows the whole economic recovery effort, as there is an imbalance between the production rebound and demand recovery, with the latter being much less impressive so far, as the retail sales rose by a mere 0.5% in August. Another key element that should not be overlooked is the ongoing trade tensions between China and the US. The US incumbent President Donald Trump has criticized China many times in the past regarding the pandemic situation as well as on the trade policies undertaken by Beijing. Uncertainty over developments in the ongoing pandemic and the impact of the US elections leaves little room for any firm momentum to build up in the market, leaving us all with an overall bittersweet aftertaste to deal with.
I would like to update that China has been a major consumer of the iron ore and they become this world's steel producer. They consume nearly 1 billion, means 1,000 million metric tons of iron ore per year, out of which 350 million metric tons come from the Brazil and nearly about 650 million metric tons come from the Australia. However, there is a major difference between the two routes, or that the C5 routes Australia is nearly 40 to 45 days maximum, whereas the C3, the Brazil routes, about 90 to 100 days it takes actually. And due to the COVID situation this year, up to the May, they only have been able to import about 115 million metric tons. What does it tell? That nearly 235 million metric tons were to be still imported from the Brazil. If you divide in 7 months, it around comes to about 35 million metric tons per month. As we know that the COVID situation has not yet come into control in Brazil also, so there have been a disruption at the mining and the production of the cargo, availability of the cargo. So there has been ups and downs, but we can see from the June-July the Cape market has been elevated, and it looks like to be continue till the year end in order to meet their targets. Another factor which impacts iron ore import to China is the winter of China, because many North Chinese ports they form the icings and they do not like to get into the trouble, so they like to pick up as much as possible by the year end before the freezing starts. So we expect that in Q4 the iron ore imports will continue and the Cape market to be supported.
Lloyd's Register has granted approval in principle to DAEWOO Shipbuilding and Marine Engineering and Man Energy Solutions for its ammonia-fueled 23,000 TEU ultra-large container ship design, a key result from a joint development project launched earlier this year, focused on developing ammonia propulsion ships. As per the JDP, DSME generated the basic design of the ammonia propulsion system, and Man Energy Solutions was responsible for the development and specifications of ammonia dual-fuel propulsion engine. LR's AIP certification is the first phase of the JDP. The second phase will involve further development of the design for meeting the market demands in terms of commercial viability as well as technical and safety maturity. The ammonia-fueled 23,000 TEU ultra-large container ship is expected to be commercialized by 2025.
Ammonia has a relatively low energy density, and the main benefit is that it can be stored in higher temperatures in a liquid form under the atmospheric pressure. So it can be a potential solution for carbon-free shipping. But as regards planning the models for supplying ammonia fuel to the ships, it must be noted that the flammability of ammonia is relatively limited between 15 to 25% lower explosive limit and the upper explosive limit. And this means it will be difficult to ignite it, and therefore we will have to enhance its ignition capability via pilot fuels for its combustion. Then ammonia can corrode copper, brass and zinc alloys, and further storage tanks will have to be provided with safety features like vents and relief valves. Ships will therefore have to be careful during venting, because the vent discharges will have to be designated as dangerous areas because of the toxicity of ammonia. I can add to say that overall ammonia can be a viable fuel, but there are challenging areas or shipping to solve its usage with appropriate research in the due course.
I'm sure this new building will pave the way for future ships and make tasks relatively easier for the ship owners and shipyards as to choose what fuel to use. Ammonia as of today has distinct advantages because as regards to bunkering as well, it is easily available ashore in tanks where from it can be initially pumped at low pressure pumps and then increased to about 70 bar via high pressure pumps. I am sure with this new building and subsequent trials, industry will be benefited, and a major step towards reducing greenhouse gas emissions as well as reducing carbon emissions and global warming issues will be dealt with. Let us hope for the best and look for the brighter future.
Indian Maritime University, a central university under Ministry of Shipping, Government of India, offering various UG and PG courses in the maritime sector, UG programs in Marine Engineering, Nautical Science and Naval Architecture, PG, and research programs in Naval Architecture, Marine Engineering and Management. Campuses located in Chennai, Visakhapatnam, Kolkata, Mumbai and Kochi. For admissions and program details, please visit www.imu.edu.in.
Shipping has been put on alert to be highly vigilant while transiting the Gulf of Aden, with news of an Aframax tanker suffering sizable damage after it struck a sea mine in the Yemeni waters. Significant pollution has been spotted in the satellite images in the wake of Syra, a 10-year-old Maltese flagged ship hitting the mine just before midnight on October 3. The ship was taking on crude from the Bir Ali crude single buoy mooring system located in the central Yemeni waters when the explosion happened. The war risk rating for Bir Ali and Ash-Shihir, the Yemen's only operational export terminals, have been raised to elevated. Turkey's Anadolu shipyard has launched the first of its two cadet training ships, the QTS-91 Al Doha, manufactured for the Qatari naval forces. The vessel was developed based on the Turkish shipyard's own design, with specially added features in line with the Qatari Emiri Navy's demands. The ship was launched on Thursday in a ceremony in shipyard located at Istanbul's Tuzla, with the participation from Turkish Defense Minister, his Qatari counterparts, along with the head of Turkey's defense industries. The 90-meter-long ship has 1,950-ton full load displacement. Besides the basic naval cadet training, the CTS will have a helipad for medium-sized helicopters on the stern and will be capable of providing combat management and weapon training for the trainees. First, there were flights to nowhere. Now, there are cruises to nowhere. This week, Singapore announced a pilot program where cruises will make a round trip in the city-state with no port of call in between. The capacity is limited to 50% and the passenger has to be a Singapore resident. This move is a fresh attempt to bolster the travel demand amidst the coronavirus pandemic that has infected 36 million people around the world and has crippled the global tourism industry. Since the announcement, we have been getting calls non-stop, online inquiries as well. This is very encouraging, said Michael Goh, President at Dream Cruises at Genting Cruise Lines on Friday. Dream Cruises' World Dream Ship will be the first to sail from November 6, followed by Royal Caribbean International's Quantum of Seas starting from December.
Mega ship captain Kate McHugh taught a quick grammar lesson on social media after a follower questioned her position simply because she is a woman. How can you be a captain? You are only a woman, a social media user wrote to McHugh42, who became the first American female captain of a mega cruise ship in 2015. I think it is about high time that I address this, she said in her TikTok video earlier this week, and proceeded to shut down the shamer in a comeback disguised as a teaching moment. In this age and day, I am shocked that someone still doesn't know the difference between your and your, she started. She continued to break down the grammar even further, explaining that your is a contraction used to say you are, as in you are sexist, whereas your refers to something possessive. It belongs to you, like your ignorance. The celebrity cruises captain finished the video by settling into her captain's chair, reminding commenters where she could be found. McHugh often posts to her hundreds of thousands of followers, showing them her daily life as a captain on board a celebrity cruise ship. Although McHugh was the first American woman to captain a cruise ship, she is not the first woman in the world to do so. Captain Karin Stare Jansson from Sweden became the first female cruise ship captain in the world in 2007, also manning a celebrity cruise ship. The world's first black woman cruise ship captain, Belinda Bennett, took the helm of a Windstar cruise ship in 2016. Of the more than 300 passenger cruise ships around the world, only 9 are captained by women, according to Women's International Shipping and Trading Association (WISTA). Marex Media supports women in shipping and will soon launch the world's first Maritime Women's Awards.
The story that you have shared about Captain Karen is truly inspiring. It sends a message to all women in maritime sector and to all stakeholders of the industries, decision makers of the industry, policy makers, owners of companies on shore, ship owners, that the mindset towards hiring women needs to change. And I think the message that it sends to women is also that we don't have to hold ourselves back anymore, because it's not just society, it's not just decision makers in the industry that are curbing the growth of women, but it is the women themselves. I always believe that the women who make it, who rise up the ranks, who are successful in a male dominated industry, is only because of their attitude and their grit and determination to not give up, and against all odds. When I say odds, I mean that look at the statistics. There are very few women on board vessels, women officers, women captains, chief engineers. It's the 1% statistic. Even on shore jobs, we have very few women in the leadership industry. The reason for that is also the women themselves holding themselves back. So all I want to say is this story is not just about the captain correcting the grammar of the gentleman who said, "You're a woman, how come you're a captain?" This story is also about correcting of a mindset and an effort towards change, a thought process towards change, that the time to change has come. And a lot of industry veterans are embracing this change.
The incident faced by Captain Kate on social media is unfortunately one of many that women in the maritime industry face. Kudos to her for reacting with humor. My dream for the future of the maritime industry is that when we think of a mariner, we will think of people of both genders.
Libraries are facing one of the greatest challenges in their history. Recent figures show that the number of people who visited a public library is at its lowest in history. Despite this, reading is flourishing, with a new survey finding that people doubled the time they spent reading during lockdown. For many, libraries represent their childhood, a place to escape into the literary world. Libraries are vital public spaces, creating a community which doesn't discriminate based on income or class. A portable container library has the potential to excite, to look different to the standard architecture of a library, and create experiences. On the beach, once gleaming cruise vessels lie dilapidated, their innards exposed, barely recognizable from the seafaring glory days. These ships were previously the pride of cruising fleets, including Carnival Cruise Line. Now they are shells of their former selves, beached at the Aliaga shipyard in Turkey, or similar shipbreaking yards such as Alang in India or Gadani near the Pakistani port of Karachi. In Aliaga, business is up 30% this year in the wake of the pandemic, reports Reuters. Drone photographs of the shipyard depict zombie cruise liners, half impressive vessel and half skeleton and debris.
Stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you for watching. See you all next Monday.